Today I'm going to go over a mysterious location known as the Mountain of Death, or the Black Mountain of Queensland, Australia. I have covered this before, but that was a long time ago. From time to time on this channel, I will be updating old videos, especially if it's a good mystery. In Queensland, Australia, there's a very odd rock formation that the locals call the Mountain of Death. These massive burnt boulders are estimated to be around 250 million years old, created by boiling magma. But the way these massive rocks are placed makes it seem that someone or something placed them there. Some believe that ancient giants are responsible, or maybe aliens. This is one place that the natives avoid at all cost. There are so many caves, tunnels, and mazes within this mountain, making it easy to get lost. They say you can also hear very disturbing sounds, such as screaming and moaning when you get close enough. This location is known for some very strange sightings and disappearances, and the natives, they have a lot of disturbing tales to tell about this Black Mountain. One of the most famous of these stories involves an evil medicine man known as the Eater of Flesh. A local tribe was so scared of him that they would let him eat their old and sick, hoping to appease his cravings for human flesh. Even the animals keep their distance from this place, and pilots avoid flying over it as they experience some very strange anomalies, such as equipment failure and just odd turbulence. Now, since so many pilots are afraid of flying over this location, scientists had it tested for magnetic disturbances and radiation levels back in 1991. But surprisingly, everything came back normal, only deepening the mystery of the Black Mountain and making scientists wonder what the heck is causing all these anomalies. Now, what makes the Black Mountain, or the Mountain of Death, so terrifying is all the mysterious disappearances that happen here. One of the first reported disappearances happened in 1877 when a courier went out on horseback searching for a missing calf. When the courier failed to return, a search party was dispatched, but he and his horse were never seen again. Then there was an outlaw known as Sugarfoot Jack. Sugarfoot Jack and his gang were on the run from the authorities, and they decided to hide out in one of the caves within the Black Mountain. Now, the authorities were hot on their trail, as the tracks they were following were fresh, and these tracks led them to the Black Mountain. But after searching for days, they never found them, and they were never seen or heard from again. It's like they just vanished off the face of the earth. Then there was another case that happened in the late 1800s when another outlaw went to the Black Mountain to hide from the authorities. But this time there was an officer close behind him, and this officer saw this outlaw go into one of these caves, and he decided to go in after him. But after searching for hours, he never found him. And just like Sugarfoot Jack and his gang, he too was never seen or heard from again. It's as if these outlaws knew of a portal to another dimension within these cave systems. Then in the 1920s, two reporters wanted to investigate this location. They wanted to try to figure out what was causing all these anomalies and disappearances. And shortly after arriving to the Black Mountain, they too just vanished. Then the search party that went to go look for them also vanished. Now, because there are so many cases of mysterious disappearances, the Black Mountain is also known as the Mountain of Death. Some believe that these disappearances are because of unknown cave systems under the mountain, and that could very well be the case. But still to this day, I don't think there have ever been any bones found. You would think that by now we would have found some evidence of at least one of these unlucky people by now. Another theory is that there could be a connection between these caves and the Hollow Earth, and that these people were taken by beings that live there. Kinda reminding me of a previous video I did, where hikers claimed that within a cave in America, they found a secret entrance to the Hollow Earth, and that they encountered magnificent structures as well as other human life forms. And one of them did vanish, but the others were allowed to leave, or so they say. Another creepy and more recent encounter happened to a man named Ivan back in 2001. Ivan's encounter was so terrifying that he decided to write an article about it to warn people to stay away from this area. Ivan and his friend Danny decided to camp at the bottom of the Black Mountain one night as they were tired and it was getting dark. While they were setting up their camp, they noticed that it was extremely silent. There was no sound at all, and this kind of frightened them as there's usually a lot of animal noises in the outback, especially at night. Then as the men were sleeping in their tents, they were awoken by the sounds of rocks crumbling. It's as if something was slowly coming out of the mountain. Then they started to hear footsteps, and these footsteps were getting louder and louder. Ivan and Danny were convinced that someone was approaching them, and Danny, he couldn't take it anymore. so he ran out of his tent as fast as he could in hopes of scaring this person away, and Ivan was right behind him with a torch in his hand. Then these two men saw something right out of the X-Files. They saw a huge black mass coming slowly towards them. Then this dark mass just evaporated right in front of their eyes. And right after it evaporated, the noise that one would expect to hear in the outback returned. Now these men, they were terrified, and they got the heck out of there as fast as they could, and they never returned. Another creepy incident happened to a local man named Harry Owens. Harry went to the Black Mountain to look for stray cattle, but he never returned. So his friend George Hawkins called the police to let him know that his friend Harry was missing. Then George went out looking for him himself, but then George also disappeared. Then the police searched the mountain, but neither Harry or George were ever seen again. However, during the search, 2 officers entered one of the caves, but only 1 officer returned. This police officer who escaped the cave was so horrified by what he had seen that he was unable or unwilling to say what he saw in that cave. Now this place is a paranormal researcher's paradise, and those who are brave enough to go here return home with some pretty amazing or creepy stories to tell. One Reddit post stated that if you climb to the top of the Black Mountain and go down the other way, you will never be seen or heard from again. There are also some pretty creepy stories that happen on Mount Everest. In 2004, a Sherpa coming back down from Everest after claiming to have just broken the ascent record said that he had come face to face with some dark shadowy figures. And these dark shadows had their hands out and they were begging him for food. Now just hours before this terrifying encounter, he did see a lot of frozen dead bodies, and one of them was still hanging from a rope. Other climbers have returned to tell very similar tales, and as of today it's estimated that there have been over 240 deaths on Mount Everest. Another creepy encounter happened to a friend of a female climber named Wanda. Sadly, Wanda died while climbing a very difficult mountain, but on the next day her friend got a very eerie phone call. When she picked up her phone, she heard Wanda's voice, and Wanda sounded very happy and excited, and she was thanking God that she was still alive. But just a couple hours earlier, it was confirmed that she had died. So her friend was really freaked out, and Wanda kept saying that she was very cold and that there was no way she could ever come home. And today this woman believes without a shadow of a doubt that she spoke to Wanda's spirit. Then there was a British female climber named Julia who died on K2, and shortly after her death 2 hikers were resting at base camp when they heard a voice on the radio saying, "Camp 4 to base camp, can you read over?" Now these climbers were terrified as they knew there were no other climbers on the mountain at this time, and this voice that they were hearing was a female with a British accent. Creepy indeed. Until next time, this is Paranormal Junkie. Make sure to hit that subscribe button and stay tuned.